So this week's topic of Amuna Mondays was the power of intent. And the reason I chose this topic was because the holidays are coming up, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and normally that's the time that people will always give classes or talks on like repenting and asking for forgiveness and stuff like that. And yeah, that is technically speaking, that is the time of year that this is. But I felt like I'd go from a different angle because that whole, oh, you have to ask for forgiveness, oh, this or that. Yeah, that is kind of the holiday, and the vibe that it's giving off. But at the same time, it's like you should also use this to actually better yourself. And through forgiveness, a lot of people do, but at the same time, it also steers them away. It's like, honestly, I'm not qualified. Why would God forgive me? And this and that. I've done this. And it gets into a depression mood. So I figure I'll give a topic that's more uplifting than depleting. And that is the power of intent. And the thing is, I feel like it's super important to be connecting to what you're doing, whether it's asking for forgiveness, to actually mean it, to genuinely mean it, not just be oh, it's that time of the year, so I should just start asking because that's what everybody's doing. I should start doing this because that's what everyone else is doing. It's no, it's okay to step off and go a little slower, go at a different pace, go at a whole different route, but do it wholeheartedly. And I'll share a story and then break it down. So pretty much, the Baal Shem Tov had this ability that he was always in, he was able to see decrees in the upper world when he was talking to somebody or in a place. And so he was known to always travel. So he found himself traveling, and he was at the city, but he saw in Shemayim that it was decreed that the city would have a really, really bad drought. And they were already in a drought. So he knew it was going to only get worse. So he went to the main rabbi of the city and had to convince them that there's a decree and that he should hold a communal fast. The whole city should fast and come together and pray to have it uplifted. It says after convincing him, the rabbi finally agreed. And all the townspeople gathered together and started praying while fasting as well. And the Baal Shem Tov even joined in on this. And it states the person right next to the Baal Shem Tov was this regular townsman, wasn't really knowledgeable of anything religious or Jewish, and just, saw the whole town praying, getting together, so he went in and just did his part. And the Baal Shem Tov couldn't help but overhear that when this person was praying, he was using this word close, called, they translated to close in reference to close your hand and not give water. So the Baal Shem Tov was so confused. He's like, why are we all gathering here praying to have this drought lifted, and this guy's over here praying that there actually be a drought? And he was going to say something, but he decided to bite his tongue and hold off. And the reason was because as he was about to go and guide this guy correctly, he couldn't help but notice this guy's individual prayer was actually lifting the decree. So he waited. Eventually he told the city, hey, the decree was lifted. And then he privately went over to this guy to find out what was that about. And he goes over and he tells the guy, and he's talking to him and explains to him, hey, I couldn't help but notice you were using this word, blah, blah, and it's in reference to this. What was that about? And the guy responds, no, that's not what I meant. When I read the word close, I was thinking of it as close your hand like a sponge. And when you're holding a sponge and you close your hand, you soak every ounce of water out of it. He's like, that's what I was referencing to. I was referencing it to a blessing, not a curse. And in the actual definition and actual background behind that line was more of a curse than a blessing. And at that moment, the Baal Shem Tov realized that that intent is where it really is. It's not the words. It's not it's pre-written. It has a set definition. It's a set reference to something. This guy did it wholeheartedly and so innocently that he didn't even factor in that this was in a negative. He looked at it. It wasn't. Yes, it was created in a way that was meant to be oh, this is in reference to closing your hand like a drought. but he took it and innocently turned it into a blessing because that's how he related to it. And that's the intent of his thing. And going into this holiday, that's what this is about. It's about, you know what, going in and doing, like, taking on things and going about things at your pace. It's okay. That's not you taking the Torah and forming it around you. The Torah naturally will do that. Why? Because the Torah is true. And you don't have to sell the Torah on anyone. And there's a lot of yeshivas and a lot of parents and a lot of people in this world that insist on trying to sell the Torah to you. And I think that actually takes away the value of the Torah. Like, it sounds like a too good to be true deal. It's like if you're trying to oversell something, it just comes across as like, what are you, like, there's a catch. And there's no catch to the Torah. There's no catch. And the beautiful thing is that you can just form it to you. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, the goal should be that you form to the Torah. But in the meantime, take the Torah on any way that you can get it. If you can relate to it on one Friday night, take one Friday night on. You know, if it's new, if it's kosher, if it's whatever you're doing, do it wholeheartedly for the intent of the Torah. It doesn't matter. The quantity is not relevant. Quality. Hashem's looking for quality. Because if he was looking for quantity, he would stick with angels. Because they got it. They got their thing down and they're boom, boom, boom. They're doing it like machines. You know, and the whole thing about this is that Hashem wants us to choose him. He doesn't want us just mindlessly doing things and mindlessly following him. He wants us to choose him. And in doing so, he gives us the power of free will. Free will allows us to choose Hashem. That doesn't mean you'll always choose him. That should be the goal. But realistically, will you always choose God? Probably not. Super less likely, especially in this day and age where it's so, the whole society is just, and the whole world is so distant from Hashem, that if you can latch on to one thing and do it wholeheartedly, the effect is so massive. And it's like, that's it. Sometimes less is more. Just do do something and do it wholeheartedly. And you don't have to, and naturally, you'll find yourself doing more with the Torah. Naturally, it's not going to be forced down your throat. It's not going to be turning you off, being like, oh, this person is drilling me and telling me to do this. No. So, like, maybe go into this holiday, maybe I'll be able to go into this holiday and just establish one thing. Go, try your best. Maybe just even show up to the shul. Pray. Maybe pray 1 line, 10 lines, an hour. Who knows? It's a long holiday. It's a long prayer. And don't get distraught if you can't do the whole thing. It's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. Do things at your own level and stop factoring in other people's levels. They're not relevant. It's not a competition. And with that knowledge and with that, may everybody be able to go into this holiday, connect on their own level, and just use that little connection and grow with it. Because in Hashem's eyes, there's nothing little about it. It may seem little to us, like, oh, I'm only doing one thing, oh, I'm doing this, even though I'm knowledgeable of others. That's fine. Knowledge and application are two different things. There's a lot of people that know a lot of things. What they do is a fraction of it. So don't let knowledge hold you back from doing anything. Do the little that you know. Do the little that you decide, even though you know a lot. There's nothing wrong with that. And eventually you'll find yourself naturally taking on more things. So I hope everyone has an amazing holiday, a sweet new year, and we'll be back after all the Chagim. Take care.